Another one is like for religious reasons. You want to do good for God. Like I
Yeah.
remember, when I was in Sierra Leone, this little girl, she was getting adopted. Her name was Fatmatu or something like that. And the lady was like, couldn't even say her name right. Like
Yeah.
she had spent like 2 weeks with this little girl, and she couldn't even say her name right. And she was like, I'm just so excited for you to come and learn about Jesus Christ and the Savior of God. And don't get me wrong, I'm a believer too, and I believe in God and I believe in the power of God. But sis, you got to learn about this child first. You know what I mean? You got to learn about this individual, see her as a person, not just as a project.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Adoptive Gals podcast. Before we start today and introducing our topic, we do want to let you know if you are an adoptee who's looking to tell your story, share your experience, don't forget, email us at adoptivegals@gmail.com or make a comment. And also, this channel is for adoption. We want people to know that because we talk about topics that kind of seem like we are against adoption, but we're really not. We're just trying to figure out how to build the gap between the two worlds of the adoptee and the adoptive parent. But yeah, thank you. Welcome back to a new episode.
All right. So today's topic is going to be one of those topics where it seems like we are just against adoption, and that's not the case. The topic today is about white saviorism, right? So how to acknowledge and understand and how to diminish your white saviorism, right?
Mhm.
So we can't get into this topic without defining what white saviorism is. So I'm reading off of the screen. So white saviorism refers to the mindset where white individuals, so Caucasians, often unconsciously assume they know what's best for people of color and act in ways that can reinforce power imbalances and perpetuate stereotypes.
Mm, that's
That's
straight to the point.
straight
Oh,
to the
sorry
point.
for
Good
your feelings. So
definition.
sorry.
So there's no questions about, there's no gray areas about what it is and what it's
Mhm,
not. It's
mhm,
essentially, you as white people think that you know so much that you know what's better for other people of different cultures and different races.
mhm,
And that's just plain out
mhm.
not true. That is not the case. So we want to dive into why it's important for you to not have white saviorism when you adopt children and how to get outside of that
Mhm,
mentality. Even though it's subconscious a lot of times, it's still something that can be worked on.
mhm. Yeah, and I'm big on accepting where you are, accepting your flaws if that's something you do have.
Mhm.
Don't necessarily beat yourself up on it. Just learn how to shift your mindset. Be like, I do have this. And we're going to go through how to actually shift your mindset because I feel like a lot of people talk about white saviorism, white saviorism, white saviorism. It's like, okay, so how do we, help people shift it? And of course, you as a white person can do your own reading. The only reason why we're doing this on this channel is for the purpose of the adoptee. So the child that you're going to be adopting, you are going to be the best that you can for them. So, and the first part of all of this is acknowledging it, that you have it and that you understand what it is and where it's coming from.
Mhm.
Like how it just, she just talked about it. And also reflection, recognizing any past behaviors or thoughts that may have stemmed from this mentality, reflecting on the ways in which you may have acted out of desire to help rather than collaborate or support. So it's digging deep and reflecting in that. And of course, the second part of this is educating yourself. You have to educate yourself, whether it's through reading books, watching movies, talking to other people of color, talking to Black people, just watching stories, being online and seeing how Black people, different races of color, they interact, they talk, learning about their culture, and just kind of learning, educate yourself on it.
I do want to step back a little bit on reflection because some people might
Hmm.
not know what do you mean by reflection, right? So what does a
Hmm.
real life example of reflection mean? So reflection could be, like she said, recognizing behaviors or thoughts that may have given you this idea that you have to save and help other people.
Hmm.
So it could come from anywhere from like church, right? So I know a lot of people who have white saviorism, they may have came from the church,
Human
they're trying to
nature.
do good. And that is true. Like if you're a believer of God, you're job on this earth is to do good, to follow the word of God and the purpose of God, which is to help your neighbor and love your neighbor. So
Hmm.
you don't want to see other people in pain, and so you want to save other people, right?
Hmm.
Which is okay to help other people, but a lot of times the effect of it, the effect of the causation isn't always healthy.
Hmm.
And then another area where it could stem from is just from your own past, right? So people who come
Hmm.
from trauma, they have endured so much that they want to help other people because they don't want other people to go through as much pain as they did, right? And that's also sometimes not healthy either, because a lot of these people haven't done
Hmm.
healing for themselves. So they feel like the only way they can help themselves is by helping other people,
Yeah.
and then another area it could come from is I guess it's like when you're a child and you see other people just being in pain, and you've just made it up in your head. You see a lot of this like with kids who are like for example, people who become vets when they're young, they see a little like dog that like maybe got ran over or whatever, and they're
Yeah.
like, I want to be a vet, I want to save dogs and
Yeah.
cats and animals, right? And so that can be the same thing for children as well. Like, I want to save children, I want to do this, and you kind of become a fanatic about it, and so now you just see it from a more emotional standpoint versus like what the facts are, what it actually takes to adopt a child. So those are just some examples of what it could mean to reflect.
Yeah.
um mhm.
And yeah, and also a lot of it is the biggest one I think out of it is how the world and white saviorism and just white supremacy in general, how it's
Yeah,
been
yep.
set up, how it's been
Mhm.
set up and putting white people as, the highest standard and everything that they do and say is better. So
Mhm.
because they feel that and they think that, and you tend to again that seeps into your subconscious thinking I'm better, I can do better. So if I know better, then I should teach other people that what we do, how we live our life is better. I have to teach you and help you and save you. So that's also part of a reflection that you have to do on where you're seeing it. um and that whole so it's white supremacy is so deeply rooted. We could start from like damn near the beginning of creation, talking about how deeply rooted it is, and in how other people, they buy in, white people buy into it, and sometimes they don't even like try to. It's just been how it is. But
And not just other white people buy into it, but other cultures buy into it too. So then it's like
yes, yes,
constantly being perpetuated, you know?
yes, constantly. And the biggest way, which is the second one, we can continue on the education part of it. You just have to educate yourself, like the
Mhm.
history and the context of it, understanding the issues affecting marginalized communities.
Oh yeah.
And with that you do have to kind of put yourself into different kind of communities and their culture, learning about their cultures and how
Mhm.
they do things, and how yes, what they do is going to be different than yours, and to kind of look at it as at a perspective of, oh, they do this, we do this. It doesn't mean my way is better, it doesn't mean their way is better or worse or vice versa. It's just having an understanding that there's two different cultures who do two different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think of this example of like understanding the historical context behind issues affecting marginalized communities
Hmm.
as so instrumental, because once you understand the plight and the challenges of a certain group or an individual, you're able to provide
Hmm.
solutions for them, right? But you never just want to provide solutions without knowing what the
Hmm.
problems are. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of times with white saviorism, that is kind of what happens is like
Hmm.
you are so used to being in your bubble, you're like, and you see outside,
Hmm.
you're like, oh, let me just give them this and give them that. But that's actually not what they need. That's not even what
Hmm.
they want, right? It's like an entrepreneur being like, oh, I see this group here. I'm going to give them this product, but it's like no one
Hmm.
asked for that product.
Yeah, exactly.
The product that they actually need is a different kind of product. But
Yeah.
because you're not actually able to see outside of your saviorism, um, your complexes of feeling like you're better, and what's in your head is better for the other group, then you're not really able to see what the actual solutions could be
Hmm.
for that group, what could actually benefit them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happens with adoption so much. It's like we had Carlos on here, and he was talking about how his mom wanted a child, a biological child, and so she would take him through these like what is it?
Birthing scenarios. I don't remember the exact name of
It's
them.
like near death, like birthing, basically a way to bond adoptive mother to
Mm-hmm.
the adoptive child.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's not what was needed. That's what she
Yeah.
wanted, because
Mm-hmm.
she felt like from her
Yeah.
perspective, that's what the
Yeah.
child needed, was to feel
Oh.
so connected, so close to the mom. But that's not what he
Yeah.
needed, because then he
Yeah.
became depressed and suicidal, all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff
Yeah.
from almost dying because
Yeah.
she was
Like
so
the
selfish in her
and the
head.
trauma that came from it. Like they became
Mhm.
so traumatized. And again,
Exactly.
it's because they thought they knew best, and they disregarded everything that had to do with Carlos and who he is, and they just put in. She put in her. She's like, I know best, and here you are. Let's just. I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so I think we kind of give you guys ideas of like educating yourself, and like Fatma just said, meeting other people who are within those cultures, talking to them, um, and really putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. We always talk about this on our channel. You have to
Yeah,
get uncomfortable because the child is always uncomfortable.
yeah,
So, like whatever you think you want to do, try to first, before making a decision, try to see
hmm
it from the child's perspective, and then see if
hmm
there's a middle ground. You know what I mean? Like, see if
yeah,
there's a middle ground, because obviously you're a parent, so you have authority over the child to make things happen in your lives, but
hmm
try to see if there's ever a middle ground for whatever decisions that you're going to make.
yeah. And the next one on the list is shifting your perspective. This means centering the voices of marginalized communities. And instead of assuming you know what's best, just listen to the people who are directly affected. Their voices, experiences, solutions should guide any efforts to support them. And also collaboration over control. This is the same thing as shifting your perspective, focusing on working with communities rather than for them. Okay.
Ooh,
Support their leadership, goals, and solutions, and avoid imposing your ideas.
ooh,
Oh,
that's all you need. That's all. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's all.
that's all you have to do. Oh, that one I knew was kind of like hurting someone a little bit.
I can't like.
I can't. Yeah, I can't. And it's just and it's very apparent. Like it takes me back to when after my family had adopted me, my mom and a friend of hers who also was adopting at the same time, Erica. Remember Erica? Did I tell you about Erica? They decided to open an orphanage back in Sierra Leone. And I just remember just feeling like we were just going in, we are just saving these people, we're saving this, and we're gonna bring in our own ideas and stuff like that, and just moving how we want to move. And it's just like there was not a lot of thought about, well, what about them? Like what
Right.
about their experiences and stuff like that. And of course their perspective had to shift because you're in this country and you really can bring in your white savior as much as you think you can. Again, you're opening an orphanage. Of course you're going to impose your own ideologies on these African kids. You're going to do it. But there were times where there were roadblocks they couldn't get through because it's a different culture, and they used to get so upset about it. Like, why would you do? I'm like, well, because it's a different culture. How you think things should be ran. It's not how it is here. So you have to
Mhm.
like work within their confinements, their cultures, and how they move and how they see things for you to actually get what you want and what you need. And there was so many times of them just battling with government officials and stuff like that. And of course, some of these government officials were kind of crooked. Some of them were. I'm not gonna lie, and they were. So, but it's just, and it's like it took me back, and I'm like, if I was to do this again, and if I was to participate in something like this and open an orphanage or something like that, I'm always going to talk to the locals first. How do I help your community the best? Not to come in and build an orphanage for you and take your kids, because a lot of parents back in, impoverished nations like Sierra Leone, they're gonna do things to try and give up their kids to give them the best life in return for that kid to get older and come back and give them a life. But for me, I feel like it's better to come in and create an infrastructure that helps them. Like, tell me what you need. Like, how can I help you? And stuff like that. And just let the people lead. And you just sit back and just watch and just learn.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always, it's like, it's so funny because, like, whenever, when there was a lot of like Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff going on, it's like you see all
Mhm.
these allies that are white or Hispanic, whatever, and they always like are the ones
Mhm.
leading these conversations and
Yeah.
leading these like, and I'm just, I don't know, it's kind of cringeworthy
Yeah.
to me, but I understand there's allies. You want to be an ally. You understand like the plight of the different
Yeah.
marginalized groups and everything, and so you want to do everything you can. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, you gotta allow the group that is marginalized, the people that are quote unquote um, below,
Mhm.
to learn how to fish for themselves. You know what I mean? You can kind of teach them, but they have to do it themselves, right? Like you
Mhm.
shouldn't be doing the work for other people. And
Mhm.
so while we're talking about this, it might not be completely like relevant as far as like doing, because as a parent, you're going to be doing things for your child, right? Because they're
Yeah.
young, they're still learning.
Yeah.
But if you're able to see this on a larger scale, like in the way that you engage with other adults who are of different races and are marginalized,
Mhm.
that kind of mentality will slowly seep into your relationship with your child. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you understand that maybe are affected by white saviorism, you do have white saviorism, and you
Mhm.
actively live your life from
Mhm.
that perspective.
Mhm.
Um, if you have awareness of it, then you are able to see how it shows up in your relationship with your children.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Yeah.
you're able to make shifts and create solutions for this problem that you have. It is a problem, right? So
Yeah.
the first step, like they say in NA, is to know that you have a problem.
Admit you have a problem. Admit you have a problem. But
Exactly.
yes, it is so true to just kind of like, it's just in life, in growing, you just have to do self-reflection. And once you reflect and you start to do better, you know better, where you can catch yourself. You're like, ooh, don't do
Yeah,
that. Ooh, ooh, okay, we don't
found
do
that
that. Yeah.
one.
Where you catch yourself. And the next one, which I think is the most important, is checking your motives. What are your motives for this? Introspection. Ask yourself, why do you want to help? Is it to feel good about yourself, or to genuinely support and uplift others? Ooh. Ensure that your actions are not about seeking validation or praise.
Mm,
And of
mm.
course, in this second part of it is
So
having
dramatic.
humility. Be open to feedback and criticism. A
Mhm.
lot of white people are not open to criticism and feedback.
No,
I'm
honey.
sorry, especially when they carry white saviorism. Whew. So whoever, if this applies to you and you see this and you have it and you're willing to do the work, good on you. And also understand your intentions. However good, can still have harmful impacts. Learn from mistakes and be willing to change.
Yeah, girl, that's a lot. That's a mouthful. It's gonna go over a lot of people's heads. Checking your motives is so important, especially for adoption, because
Uh-huh.
people are adopting for all kinds of crazy reasons. I
Yeah.
mean, one of them being because you can't have a child and you want a child and you're just obsessed with children. Your life is not fulfilled and you just have to have a child. Like, where
Yeah.
is the children? I don't care if they've been through all this craziness. I want a child. And then you don't
Yeah.
think about what they've gone through. And
Yeah.
then another one is like for religious reasons. You want to do good for God. Like I
Yeah.
remember I when I was in Sierra Leone, this little girl, she was getting adopted. Her name was Fatmatu or something like that. And the lady was like, couldn't even say her name right. Like
Yeah.
she had spent like 2 weeks with this little girl and she couldn't even say her name right. And she was like, I'm just so excited for you to come and learn about Jesus Christ and the Savior of God. And don't get me wrong, I'm a believer too, and I believe in God and I believe in the power of God. But sis, you got to learn about this child first. You know what I mean? You got to learn about this individual, see her as a person, not just as a project. You know what I mean? Um,
That
and
is one
then,
of my biggest icks. Go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. And then other motive is because you know about slavery and the challenges and marginalized groups, and now you want to do good for the world. So you want to help Black people out. You want to do them a
Yeah.
favor because you're just so holier than thou that you need to equal out the playing fields. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not all bad. None of this is all bad, right? Of course, we're kind of being extremists. None of it is all bad. It's okay if you have a little bit of that, but like know about it and know how to not just act from that perspective, you know? But yeah,
Um,
like motives, like I know your mom, she went out on Facebook and she was like, yeah, part of the reason I did have some white saviorism, you know, like
yes.
it's, you
Yes.
know,
And every single time you say this, yes, also be able to be like, yeah, I have that, but
yeah.
also be able to actually be doing it. And
Mhm.
here's another thing that I've noticed with people. This is what I noticed with my mother. She admitted that she had white saviorism. And this was during the time of Black Lives Matter, where it makes white people look good to come out and be allies in that.
I
And
did admit, yeah.
the motive behind that was not truly because, now here's the thing, I don't know my mom in her head, okay? So she could really truly be genuine, but knowing my mother, how she is and how she's moved through life and our relationship, a lot of the stuff that she did was to look good. But if you do actually are admitting it, don't be doing it for the benefit of other people, because that just defeats the whole purpose of motive, of being genuine and being like, I have this, and not just say it, but actually be applying it in your life. And my mother was not really applying it in my life, because when it came to our relationship and her understanding my perspective of being a Black woman in America,
Mhm.
she couldn't understand that. She could understand it from my brother's side of, being a Black man, which I understand Black men have it worse than Black women when it comes to racism and all that stuff. And this was all going on during the era of George Floyd and stuff like that. Where when I was trying to show my Black womanhood, yeah, that's a different topic for another day. But yeah, just be. What are your motives? If you feel like you're just not a genuine person, you just want to do it to make yourself look good, just don't do it. Don't do it. Why waste your time? Go find somewhere else where you can make yourself feel good. Leave the Black children out of it.
Right, right.
Leave the Black children out of it. Stop using them as your little designer things. Leave them out of it. Go do something else. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just
Okay. So 21. Okay, how much do we have left on your,
um
do you have
not
your charger? Do you want to get your
yeah,
charger, or
let me get it. We'll just tell him. I
yeah,
just didn't want to interrupt
yeah,
it. Let me pay him
yeah,
in.
go ahead.
Get this thing. All right.
Okay, let me put down the time real quick. It was like 21:30.
But it's not charging. It's so weird.
It is
It's
weird.
not it's just not work. Maybe that one doesn't work. Probably that hole doesn't work, it looks like.
Y'all got plans today?
Huh?
I said y'all got plans today?
Girl, we always have plans. He's
Y'all
like such
you
a busy.
Africans always got plans.
I know. And there's always something to fucking do. Like, I
Yeah.
swear to God. One
Okay.
sec. Yeah, but we're going, he has actually a business meeting. So we're gonna go to my hometown for that.
Oh,
1 second.
okay. Well, we shouldn't be much longer. We have a couple more of these, then we can just end.
Oh, what is sorry. Did we pause it?
No, it was been recording. Are you good? So I can put the time down so and Mark can take it out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold my phone now. That's okay.
Okay. All right. 23.
Do 24.
Yeah. Okay. And just the whole thing is just about your intention. At the end of the day, what are your intentions? Like I said, leave the Black children out of it. If
Yeah.
if it's to make yourself feel good, leave the children out of it. Any kind of child, leave them out of it. Do you have anything else to add to that one before I move to the next one?
Not really. I think that's pretty clear. Like, I think if people really sat down and thought about it, they would be able to know what the motive
Hmm.
is. You know, if you're really honest with yourself and clear
Yeah,
with yourself, you always know the motive if you don't you
yeah,
choose not to lie to yourself.
yeah, exactly. And the next one is engaging in a meaningful allyship, which means support without dominating. Offer your resources, time, and skills in a way that amplify the work of those already leading the charge. Don't take over or claim credit for their work. Oof. Advocate.
Like hitting all perspectives.
Advocate for systematic change beyond individual actions. Work to challenge and dismantle the systems of oppression that contribute to the need for saving in the first place. Sorry.
There's not much to say, y'all.
That's this is
it's
basically
hitting. It's hitting.
yeah, just be an ally and just, and I'm not saying be a doormat, don't let people treat you bad, but just be an ally and be like, how can I help you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not saying all white people, a lot of white people, they do like to take things from black people and then rebrand it and call it a different name. And it's like there was this one lady who created a bonnet company.
Oh
And
wow.
like, she came out like this is the greatest thing I've ever invented and stuff like that. And black people were like,
We've
ma'am,
been doing that.
this is a funny story. But anyways, the next one is commit to ongoing growing growth. So yes, you have, and you admit I have white saviors and I'm trying to work on it, but going beyond that and actually growing from it,
Mm,
which
mm.
means continuous learning. This isn't a one-time effort. No. Continue to educate yourself and be aware of your biases and privilege. Stay engaged in conversations about race, power, and privilege.
Mhm.
Be action oriented. Move beyond thoughts and words. Take
That's
tangible
important.
steps to support racial justice in your personal life, community, and workplace. So making sure you're active within, and this is what we're talking about, adoptive parents who are adopting black children. If you are not adopting black children and you don't want to do any of this stuff, it's fine. This is mainly for
Yeah.
black, yeah, adoptive
Black
parents who are white.
and also
But for your,
non-black. Like if you
yeah,
adopted an Asian child or a Hispanic
yes, yes.
child, anyone that's outside of your
Hmm.
race, honestly, you just want to understand the group and the culture that they're coming from,
Hmm.
understand the challenges and the plights that they've gone through. A
Hmm.
little bit of history is important to have context on your how your child will be perceived in this world.
Yeah,
Um, and you know, action always speaks louder than words. So even if
absolutely.
you fail 1,000 times at this, your
Hmm.
child will see that you continue to put in the effort as
Hmm.
a young child. And when they grow up as an adult, they will remember you for not the mistakes you did, but for the efforts that you put in.
Hmm.
The times
Yeah.
that you kept on getting back up and trying to show up for them, their
Hmm.
community, and not you necessarily doing it right, but just knowing that it's a
Hmm.
continuous journey. I think they'll have a lot of empathy for that because that's something I have empathy for my parents for because they didn't always do it right, but I knew that they always had good intentions. They always kept trying, and that's just the most important part.
Yeah, that absolutely is. Like just put in your effort. And the last one on this list is support and uplift marginalized voices. I think that we already talked about this, but this is number 7, which means whether it's financial support or platform sharing. When it comes to financial support, if you have the means to donate to organizations led by people of color, ensure that your support is ongoing, not just a one-time effort. Platform sharing, using your platforms, whether it's social media, work, or community spaces to amplify voices for marginalized communities. So
Yeah,
that's that's
that's pretty
everything.
straightforward. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I was gonna say for the financial support, like obviously we know everybody's working
yeah,
hard. Like we're not saying you should go out and spend thousands of dollars and all these different programs that are focused on the plight and the of
yeah.
marginalized communities. But um it's small things like if you decide, okay, if you haven't adopted yet and you're watching this and you're like, oh, I want to adopt a child, and you've noticed your motive is just because of white saviorism and to help people and
Hmm.
that's it. Um maybe there's other ways that you can help those communities without adoption, because adoption has a lot of challenges and trauma that comes from it too. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't want to go through all of that, but maybe maybe give money to a program.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the one that your mom is with?
She
Zoe.
works for, oh, I can't remember.
Zoe.
Can't remember.
Zoe.
Zoe. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
Zoe, which is a program that empowers children in Africa who are orphans to build their own businesses and start their own businesses and actually fish
Mm-hmm.
for themselves. You know what I mean? So invest in programs that help people help themselves,
Mm-hmm.
not just ones that make people like
Yeah.
dependent on white saviorism or saviorism in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a topic we also need to talk about, like different ways if you don't want to adopt. Like,
Yeah, that's a good
for
topic.
me, when it comes to adoption, yes, I believe in adoption, but I also believe in making sure, like, having the child in whatever country you're trying to support, see if you can support them from there. But that is just the gist of this. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, that's gonna be it. I love this topic.
Yeah.
I know this is Fatmata's favorite like topic. Is
I say it all the time. White saviorism. White
she says
saviorism.
it, white savior, you're white saviorism. So we just had to talk about this in depth
Yeah.
to show you guys what we meant and why we bring it up so much and so
Mm-hmm.
often. So hopefully you were able to get a better understanding and maybe see a little bit of light. And maybe just even if you don't see the light, just do some
Yeah.
self-reflection. That's all we ask of you, self-reflection. Listen to this video and other videos about white saviorism when it comes to adoption, and that's
Yeah.
just a good place to start.
Yeah. That's basically it. Thank you guys so much for coming on to another episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and let people know we are here. Till next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.